right, thank you all for coming to our tent talk, second week of the tent talk. Today, unfortunately, we're not in the tent due to inclement weather. But thank you guys for coming. Thank you for tuning into this video if you're watching online. To give you guys a quick background, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Erik Grimm. I've been a trainer here at Foreman Fitness for about 7 years. I'm the director of the Parisi Speed School here at Foreman Fitness. I grew up about 10 miles south of here in Mequon. I've been very active my whole life, playing everything from soccer, baseball, swimming, basketball, volleyball. And then in high school, I settled on football and wrestling. I received a college scholarship to play Division II football at Minnesota State Mankato. And then after graduating, I moved back here to the area where I met Ben Quist, the owner of Foreman Fitness, in 2013. And I've been working here ever since. I love what I do. I enjoy coaching kids. I want to be a coach that helps kids and mentors kids, not only with the training and performance side of things, but just in all aspects of their life. So since we're talking about physical development, I wanted to give you guys a couple old pictures of myself here. So that is, I think, freshman or sophomore year of high school. Getting tall and skinny. This is JV football, sophomore year, still a little lanky. This one is junior year wrestling, starting to fill out a little bit, and then that was my freshman year. I thought about throwing one in there of post-college football when my activity levels went down, but my food consumption was still up, but I didn't want to embarrass myself too much. So the Parisi Speed School we offer here at Foreman Fitness, we offer youth programs for kids 7 to 12, teaching them basic movements. And then our older group is going to be ages 13 to 18. We have the speed and agility classes, as well as the strength program. And we also do one-on-one training. All right, so let's get into what we came here today to talk about nutrition philosophy and physical development. So a lot of people think, doing intense training and weightlifting, is all they need to get them bigger, stronger, faster. But in reality, physical development is a comprehensive effort that doesn't stop once an athlete leaves the weight room or the practice field. A sound nutrition plan is one of the most vital aspects of training. So nutrition is a controllable factor that can enhance performance, and it is essential to helping athletes maximize their potential, both physically and mentally. I think sleep is another huge part of this development. So you kind of got to have all three of them. I think of the analogy of like a master lock or a combo lock, knowing the three numbers you need, which ways to turn it. So if you only are going in weightlifting, but then you go home and you don't eat anything, or you eat junk, and then you only sleep a couple hours that night, your body's not going to develop and grow. You kind of need all three parts of that master lock. There's a lot that goes into the science behind nutrition, and I'm no nutritionist, so today I'm going to keep it pretty simple, pretty basic. And a favorite quote or thought of mine is, muscle tissue is broken down in the weight room, it is fed in the kitchen, and it is grown in the bedroom. So kind of going back to that master lock, all three are kind of very important. You can't have one without the other. And nutrition and sleep are so important. However, our main focus today is going to be how nutrition is a key player in accelerating recovery and growth. So let's get into it here. So anabolic versus catabolic. An athlete's body is either going to be in catabolic state, which is like a survival state, or an anabolic or performance state. A catabolic state means the body's relying on itself for fuel due to an inadequate intake of calories, and it's actually processing or eating its own most nutrient-dense tissue, which is going to be muscle. So your body's eating its own muscle to fuel itself. In this state, it's impossible for muscle growth or fat burning to occur. An anabolic state, or the performance state, is when you have an adequate outside source of quality calories provided, and the body can begin to build new muscle and get rid of the surplus fat. Some benefits of being in that anabolic state are going to be improved body composition, increased muscle mass, less likely to sustain injuries, more energy, faster strength gains, faster recovery from intense training. So kids in sports, kids that are active, adolescents, they burn a ton of calories. So before I get into this, let's talk about metabolic rate, which is just, everyone has this, it's how many calories you burn just to survive. So, sleeping, you're burning calories. Sitting in a chair, you're burning calories. It might be a little bit different for a big muscular bodybuilder versus someone with not a lot of muscle mass and is more sedentary. But everyone has a basic metabolic rate. So an average day for a high school athlete walking around school, you're looking at about 1,000 to 1,500 calories. And these are just estimates, depending on the person, it's gonna change a little bit. If they have a gym class, that's another 500 or more calories. Weightlifting, or like a Parisi speed class here at Form and Fitness, 500 or more calories. And then sports practice, those are a couple hours. It could be 2,000 or even more calories depending on your position or your sport. So total calories, that's right around 4,500. So that's quite a bit of calories burned. That might be a little bit more than like an office worker, a sedentary adult. But just to kind of give you an idea of the calories burned. Another basic concept is a calorie deficit versus a surplus. So if you burn the same amount of calories that you intake in a single day, you're gonna maintain or be about the same weight with not much change. If you're at a calorie deficit, so you eat less calories than you're burning throughout the day, you're gonna lose weight. And then a calorie surplus is gonna be intaking more calories than you're burning throughout the day. And that could lead to, depending what activities you're doing, what you're eating, that could be gaining fat or gaining lean muscle. All right, everyone knows this guy here, a Wisconsin native. It looks like he's got a nice slab of what appears to be raw meat, which I do not advise. But J.J. Watt, this is an article I found in Business Insider, kind of what his daily intake of food is. So breakfast, oatmeal, blueberries, strawberries, 6 eggs, a banana and an apple. By the way, they said it was 900 calories of oatmeal. Wow. I don't know how many of those little mini packets of instant oatmeal that is, but that's got to be like 6, 8, I don't know. Then he goes and works out. Then he has a second breakfast. So you're looking at 4 more eggs, 4 slices of whole wheat toast with peanut butter, banana, honey, jelly. So far what I'm seeing is a lot of carbs, a lot of protein with minimal fat. Lunch, 3 chicken breasts, whole wheat pasta, Italian dressing, broccoli. Second lunch, more chicken breasts, mashed sweet potatoes, steamed carrots. So he's getting his veggies in there. Lamb chops for dinner, whole wheat pasta, grilled asparagus, and a second dinner, of course, a filet, whole wheat pasta, steamed broccoli. So they said that's about 9,000 calories. I'm not saying kids need to be eating that much. Sounds delicious. I'm sure he had dessert in there too, probably. That's an insane amount of calories. But look at how active he is, and he's a pretty lean guy. So I just thought that was kind of an interesting perspective. Let's talk about goals. The goals of recovery nutrition, those are going to be replacing muscle fuel, which is your carbohydrates, that you burn while you're performing. Providing protein to aid in repair of damaged muscle tissue and stimulate development of new tissue. Restoring fluids and electrolytes, which is basically potassium and sodium that you lose in sweat. Beginning nutrition recovery with a snack or meal within 15 to 60 minutes following performance. So basically what I see here from top to bottom is making sure you're eating enough carbs. A lot of carbs, which is going to be your fuel and your energy. Protein, eating a good amount of that, which are kind of your building blocks and helping repair with tissue. Staying hydrated is a key part, and then staying fueled or eating often. You don't want the gas tank running low on fuel. So macronutrients, everyone has heard of these: carbs, fat, protein, but what are they? They're not found in the body, so you need to consume them via food. Macronutrients are nutritional compounds that your body needs in significant quantities for daily functioning. While each type supplies you with most of the energy you need to operate, they all have different roles, so we're going to take a closer look at each one of them. Before we get into that, this I thought was just kind of interesting. So these are 3 different plates. One is kind of easy training or weight management. Other one is going to be moderate training. And then the last one is like hard or high intensity training. So there's some subtle differences. Each plate, there's some meat, some lean protein, there's carbs, fruits and veggies. The differences that I found interesting, more exercise or higher intensity exercise, there's a lot more carbs on these plates or grains versus here that's like just a small little, maybe a 1/6 of your plate. This is about half your plate. You can have a little more fat, 2 or 3 tablespoons versus 1 to 3 teaspoons there. One thing I thought that was interesting is this one has like a whole section of fruit. It's actually fruits and veggies, but chunk of fruit. And then with the harder training, they just have like a couple smaller fruits on the side, which I thought was interesting. And then if you're exercising a lot less, you'll notice there's a lot more veggies. So if you're not exercising a lot, you better be eating your veggies. And one other thing before we get into each one, this is not an estimate that I came up with, this is just scientific fact. Each gram of fat contains 9 calories, and then each gram of carbohydrates or protein is going to be 4 calories. So fat is something you want to be a little bit more careful. Parents out here, just in case you're wondering, alcohol is about 7 calories per gram, so be careful, that's something to consider. All right, let's talk about carbohydrates. Carbs are the master fuel for athletes. You want about 50 to 60% of your diet to be carbohydrates if you're an athlete performing in season or training hard out of season. One of the most important nutrients for athletes because they provide energy for the brain and the body. They're broken down into smaller sugar called glucose, which is stored in your muscle and your liver tissue as glycogen. Carbohydrates improve athletic performance by delaying fatigue and allowing an athlete to compete at higher levels for longer. So people talk about carb loading. Someone that is going to be a marathon runner or a triathlete, they'll be 4 days before their race, and they're like, oh, I'm carb loading. They're eating tons of pasta and grains and rice and potatoes. So they're trying to get that energy to store in their muscles and their liver. So energy is a big part of it, and then muscle growth with the correct amount of carbohydrates available to your muscles, then protein can be free to do its main job of repairing and rebuilding muscle tissue, which maximizes muscle gain. So a lot of people think it's just protein that are building muscles, but it's actually more a 2-to-1 ratio carbs to protein. Glycemic index. So you guys have probably heard simple versus complex carbs. So the glycemic index is a scale 0 to 100. A high glycemic index, basically that burns up quickly. So like you'll look at a can of soda and you'll be like, wow, there's 40 grams of carbs. Eric told me to eat a lot of carbs. But that's gonna have a high glycemic index, it's sugary, it's gonna burn up really quick. Whereas a low glycemic index is going to be these complex carbs, whole grain, and other things. That's going to burn, it's going to slowly digest, which is going to be a lower and slower rise in the blood glucose. So when should you be eating carbs? That's a tough question, but basically it's before, during, and after a workout. Before a workout, it might be a couple days. You're eating some of those complex carbs to store. It could be 3 or 4 hours before a game or before training. You're getting some bananas in you. That's going to break down a little bit quicker. And then after the workouts, we want to replenish that energy system. And I'll get into some more options for that later. But as far as salty snacks, a lot of parents are like, well, salt is bad for you. But if you're going to be out at a hot practice or sweating a lot, it's a good idea to have some salty snacks with you to replenish some of those. One other thing I want to talk about while we're on carbs is potatoes. I love telling my athletes to eat potatoes because there's a lot of potassium, there's little to no fat, high in carbs, there's a little bit of protein, they're packed with fiber, vitamins, antioxidants. However, that's taking a baked potato into consideration. You don't want to go and eat that amount of potato in French fries, potato chips, that kind of thing.
Eric, what about other vegetables? Like where in this does green beans and corn, and where does that fall on the carb scale?
That is a good question. They definitely contain a good chunk of carbs. I know leafy greens are going to be another good one. I don't have an exact amount for you.
But it falls in the continuum between.
Yep, there are definitely carbs in all of those,
Okay.
and vegetables. I know beans typically are about 1/3 carbohydrate, 1/3 protein, and 1/3 fat, or a little less than 1/3 fat.
Okay.
They also have the fiber. Some are going to be a little bit different than others, but yeah, a lot of vegetables are going to be rich in carbohydrates.
Okay.
All right, we're going to move on to protein next. So you want to include a lean protein source throughout the day. An easy way to think of it is your best is going to be fish, good is going to be chicken, solid is going to be beef, and it's fine to eat beef. It's just you don't want to eat a fatty protein, a fatty beef before training or before a game. And obviously a lot of kids are young, they have a high metabolism, they're going to be fine eating beef, but I would say that maybe for after the game or after training. It's just easy to say fish is going to be a lot leaner. Trying to avoid fatty protein sources before performance. What else do we got? Shakes are a good quick option. You just want to be careful of the quality and the quantity. So a lot of supplement companies out there, you might find something at Costco that's really cheap, but it might not be a great quality protein, or they might use fillers to make it seem like you're getting a lot more. So they can be mislabeled or misformulated, and you want it, most of your protein to be coming from food sources. But a shake is going to be a great option right after a workout or a lifting session. So protein, like I mentioned before, it's a building block of the body. That's going to be about 20 to 35% of your diet. All proteins are composed of combinations of 20 different amino acids, which your body breaks apart and combines to form different physical structures. Your system uses amino acids in 3 main ways: to build new proteins for cellular functioning, as an energy source, and as a building material. So in other words, your body needs protein to support organ functioning, power enzyme reactions, and forming your hair, your nails, and other tissues. Of those 20 amino acids, 9 are classified as what they call essential amino acids, which means your body can't create them for you, so you have to get them through food or supplementation. Don't waste your workout. What I mean by that is after a workout, we want to get some protein or carbs back in you within about 45 minutes. Ideally, the sooner the better. So if you're not going to be eating or you got to go home and cook, try to get either a snack or a protein shake, the liquid protein shake absorb a little bit quicker, and then getting your well-balanced meal within an hour or two. But yeah, within about 30 to 45 minutes, trying to get that 2-to-1 ratio carbs to protein. A lot of good quality protein brands will have some carbohydrates in there. Some portable proteins for long days of sporting events or wrestling tournaments, something like that. Sports bars or nut bars, recovery shakes, pistachios, peanuts, almonds, walnuts, etc. Sunflower seeds, peanut butter sandwiches, beef jerky, canned tuna, dehydrated beans soup mixes, which I thought was an interesting one, yogurt, string cheese, and then chocolate milk. Chocolate milk I think is a good post weightlifting option if you don't have a protein shake. I know a lot of the schools have them readily available as well. Moving on to fats. So fats support hormone function, insulate nerves, and they act as an energy reserve, which unfortunately is your body's preferred method for storing unused calories. So you want to go easy on fats. Like I said before, 9 calories per gram. That's more than double the other 2 macronutrients we talked about. So they can sneak up on you. It's the last thing to leave the stomach when the stomach's emptying itself. So you want to aim for healthier fats. Healthier fats are going to be avocados, salmon, nuts, different types of oils. Non-healthy fats are going to be fatty meats, cheese, ice cream, fried foods. So when it comes to consuming fats, you need to ensure that you supply your system with fatty acids it needs, but can't make itself. So that's going to be, you've heard people talk of omega-3s, omega-6s. A lot of people take like a fish oil supplement, which I'd probably recommend if you're not getting fish, walnuts, or eggs. Those are going to carry some of those omegas. Again, not too much. Don't want to get too much fat before training or performance. Save that for after a little bit. Saturated fat, not so good for you, but trans fat is going to be the worst. Trans fat is more, you'll see that on food labels a lot. It's going to be in the processed foods, snack foods, margarine, fast food. Unsaturated fat is going to be the best one, right there in the middle. Saturated is okay, but just avoiding the trans fat is one thing to focus on. Next, we got hydration. So water is going to be the most important yet underemphasized nutrient, especially for athletes. So I'd say less than 50% of people are hydrating as much as they need to. Your body's roughly 60% of water, and it needs to be fully hydrated in order to function at optimal levels. You want to drink fluids early and often. So drinking half your body weight in fluid ounces, predominantly, most of that should be water, is what you want to strive for. So if you weigh 200 pounds, you want to get 100 fluid ounces of water. And then even a little bit more if you're going to be going through an intense workout or a practice. Drink on a schedule, not just when you're thirsty. So don't let thirst be an indicator of hydration. Try to have a couple glasses of water in the morning, a couple glasses around midday, a couple glasses in the evening. Avoiding excess liquid calories. So sports drinks are a great option for hydration, recovery, energy replenishment, but they're also very sugary and salty, full of sodium. So they're good for replenishing all those things, but they should be used around when you're working out. You want to have a degree of caution kind of when you're in the absence of exercise, not just sitting around playing video games, watching TV, sucking down Gatorade after Gatorade. Another thing, liquid calories, you want to avoid soda, sugary juices, that kind of stuff. Minimize caffeine. Caffeine can lower your blood sugar, can make you hungry, it's dehydrating. One thing for an athlete, you want to keep your eye on your urine. It should run clear. If it's dark, that's probably a bad sign. Performance can decline with as little as 2 to 3% decrease in body weight from loss of water or sweat. So that's going to lead to cramps, muscle fatigue, increased heart rate, feeling tired, and then you're also susceptible to injury. So back to the salty stuff, if you're gonna be sweating a lot throughout the day, you know, hot football practices in August or September, sports drinks, canned soups, pretzels, tomato juice, salted nuts, pickles, all those are gonna be good options, helping to replace that lost sodium during workouts. On to veggies and fruits. I think most people say fruits and veggies, but I put it veggies and fruits because I think veggies are better for you. Made mostly with water. They're a great way to add fluids to help you meet your hydration needs. Kind of what we were just talking about. You want to eat a colorful plate, so you want to avoid the processed food, which I suppose processed foods, some of them have dyes and whatnot, but colorful plate with fruits and vegetables. Those are going to provide you hydration, electrolytes, vitamins, and minerals. Vegetables and fruits are going to help repair and regrow basically every single cell in your body. So reading some of these off, your body is a finely tuned vehicle. Give it a good fuel and it will take you places. So I sometimes use like the analogy for athletes, you know, they like talking about like Bugattis or like Ferraris or whatever fast cars. So if you're fueling that car, you're gonna be putting the best quality fuel in it, the best quality oil in it. Whereas if it was just like a little beater car, you know, you're just gonna put some sludgy, get the job done oil or gas. Did you know every 35 days your skin replaces itself? Your liver, about a month. So your body makes these new cells from the food you eat. What you eat literally becomes you. So the old saying, you are what you eat, there's some truth to that. What else? I think that's it for veggies. Recovery, won't talk too much on this, but it's incredibly important. I think every human on the planet should get at least 7 hours. Try to get 8, and then especially younger athletes or high school kids that are very active and trying to grow lean muscle, 8 to 10 is kind of what they should be aiming for. Creating a good routine. Your circadian rhythm is like your biological clock, your sleep-wake cycle. So like back in the day, cavemen used to go to bed when the sun set. They used to get up when the sun rises. So you don't want to go to bed 10 p.m. all throughout the week, and then all of a sudden the weekend comes and you're completely messing that up by going to bed at like 2 a.m. Blue light. Try to avoid cell phones, technology, TV, right before bed. That's going to suppress your melatonin levels. If you are going to be watching TV or on your phone a lot, I'd recommend like blue light glasses. They're not too expensive, and that's going to help kind of block some of that blue light. Sleeping in a cool, dark room. That's pretty basic. Why athletes need sleep? It's going to restore your immune system, help with recovery, help build lean muscle and lean tissue. It's going to help with your learning and your memory, appetite regulation, and to grow. So I mean, if you know anyone that's sleep deprived, or if you don't get good sleep for a couple nights, we've all been there. It doesn't feel too great. Feeling a little groggy and slow. Let's do a quick review. Keys to being in that anabolic performance state. Eating 5 to 6 times per day. Keeping fuel in the tank. Eating carbohydrates, the body's source of energy. Eating more calories than burned, and that's if you're looking to gain weight or building muscle. I think most adolescents or high school athletes, you want to probably, at the minimum, maintain, but most kids are probably growing. Eating nutrient-dense foods rather than empty calories. So foods that provide little to no nutritional value. So that's like you want to be eating veggies, fruits, whole grains versus chips, fries, candy, that kind of stuff. Get enough lean protein. Don't have to overdo it. There's been back and forth on the research as far as how athletes are how much protein do I need? Once you have too much, your body basically just pees it out or excretes it. Some research has said it can be bad for your kidneys if you're eating way too much. I think it's better to eat enough or a little more than enough, that won't hurt you too bad, than it is to not get enough protein. And staying hydrated. Dehydration is going to slow down all those processes, puts muscle at risk for pulls or strains.
Eric, I have a question.
Yes.
Is there any, I've always heard that bananas are good for electrolytes.
Oh
and
yeah,
Is that
love bananas.
good
Bananas are
recovery?
great for athletes, yep. Good quick sugar, potassium, sodium.
And it's a good something before a workout too.
Yep, that's great fuel before a workout. Yeah, that's a good one. When I was at Mankato for college football, we'd come into the locker room at halftime, and they would have like just tables full of like bananas, and then I think some of those like gel, like Gatorade electrolyte packs. So I think that's a great fuel option before a workout, during a workout. All right, so now what? So how do you apply all of this information? So what I would say first is assessing all of the current habits. So kind of getting an inventory of like, all right, what are my eating habits? And I mean both good and bad. Make a list of good, bad, kind of see what areas you can maybe improve upon. Like, and then what are your sleeping habits? Am I going to bed at the same time every night? Am I shutting the lights off at this hour? Do I change it up on the weekends? You know, kind of take an inventory of where you're at. Then you want to kind of create some attainable goals. Well, I see I can do this a little bit better, that a little bit better. You know, maybe you're like, well, I'm not getting nearly half of my body weight in fluid ounces from water, so let's make a hydration goal. You could carry around a jug or a water bottle, making sure you're hitting that right amount. If you're not eating any vegetables, try to add just a cup, 1 cup, just add a little bit to get started. If you are eating a little bit of vegetables, try to bump it up to 2 cups. You know, if you're eating a lot of sweets or fried foods, try to eliminate those or save them maybe as a reward or for the weekends. You know, a little bit of change can go a long way. A quote that I like is, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. So a lot of people are, well, I'll wait until the time is right, or I'll wait for this or that. Just start. Just try to do a little bit. And those little changes will start to develop into better habits. And then even the little changes make a big difference. So that's kind of what I was saying with consistency and routine. The 1, 2, 3 plan for athletes. Anytime they fuel themselves, that's a opportunity to fuel themselves at an optimal level. So they want to think about these 3 things. Each time they eat a meal, trying to get some veggies and fruits, trying to get some carbs, and a lean protein source. Eating often every 2 to 4 hours is going to be good for athletes. And then another option is like, well, I don't know, what to eat or when to eat what, or like create a list. Like, all right, pre-workout options like snacks, and then create a list for that. And then post-workout options like quick options, or then post-workout meals could be a separate category. Or same thing, pre-game or post-game, kind of creating some lists or libraries. So going off of that, I got a couple options, nothing earth-shattering here. So suggested meals for pre-event eating. This would be up to 4 hours or more prior to competition. Spaghetti with meat sauce, pasta, chicken, veggies, grilled chicken, rice, fruit, turkey, tuna sandwich, turkey or tuna sandwich. A turkey tuna that'd be interesting. On wheat with carrots, trail mix with nuts, dried fruit, high protein milkshake, a snack bar, ideally that has something like some combination of oatmeal, raisins, walnuts, or nuts, and a sports drink. So what I see when I kind of look through this list is things that are pretty high in carbs, they got a pretty good amount of protein, and there's minimal fat. 2 to 3 hours prior, getting a little closer, we're looking at that baked potato. Like I said, these kids are pretty high metabolism, so like a little butter is not going to kill them. That's fine. Bagel, whole grain with peanut butter, whole grain cereal, oatmeal, fruit smoothie, fruit bar, pancakes, waffles with fresh fruit. 1 hour or less prior, getting closer. These are gonna be those things with a quicker glycemic index. They're gonna soak in a little quicker. Applesauce, raisins, crackers, bananas, pretzels, granola bar, sports drink, toast, Big Bar. Those are things that are just easy on the stomach, that are gonna be a quick hit of energy. This or that, I threw this in as the last slide. I just found it kind of interesting. All this is gonna be a lot healthier than over here, so, you know, instead of fried chicken or fried fish, grilled chicken, turkey or fish, getting a lean beef or pork versus burger, sausage, or bacon, fruits, vegetables, salads, instead of french fries, instead of french fries, like Alfredo cheese sauce, that's gonna be no good. A big one is like the snacks, looking at the difference of the snacks. Instead of snacking on potato chips, cheese curls, pork rinds, you know, it's gonna be a lot better. Nuts, trail mix, seeds, peanut butter. I think omelets are fine. I think the loaded with cheese part is kind of what they're getting at, or adding fried in oil hash browns. Avoiding highly processed white bread, like Wonder Bread, is just like, it can sit in your pantry for 2 months and never grow any mold, which is probably not a good thing. So that is everything. That's it. Any other questions out there? Or you can email me.
Can we get a handout?
I have some.
Okay.
What specifically, like some of the
I like
meal
some of the
ideas?
snack ideas
Okay.
and meal ideas.
Yeah. Yeah, I
My
can do
son
that.
does not like to eat before a workout, but then
Ooh.
he'll work out for like 2 hours and is just done.
Really? Yeah.
And I really
Running
want
out of gas.
to eat something, even if it's,
Yeah.
I like the applesauce idea.
And part of it is
about
figuring
that.
out, you know, what you like or what he
Right.
will eat, but
Because he always says it makes his stomach hurt.
yeah, you know, and that's a personal thing. Sometimes it takes, you just need to try a little bit, you know, maybe an hour or two before, and then as you get more comfortable with it, you can eat closer to it.
Right.
If you watch Andy Brand, one of our trainers here, he's a big time like cyclist. He'll be like mid-workout, weightlifting out in the gym, and he's like goes in the back grabbing like granola bars or like a banana or nuts, and he's just like constantly fueling himself. But he's a endurance athlete. But yeah, I can make a list.
That'd be awesome, thank you.
When my son was in high school, they said, if you see it, eat it.
That's kind of how it was when I was in high school.
And I'm so upset about it because then after it took a year to lose the weight,
Yeah.
fat, if you will,
Yeah.
right? And to re-educate him on eating, so,
So I'm guessing your son was a football player.
yes.
Yeah. So I had the same thing where it's, you know, kids hit their growth spurt, the football coaches want bigger bodies on the field, so
Yeah.
there's like, eat anything, because they don't want to go through the trouble of like, what is going to be a good
Right.
fuel source. They just want them calories, which, like I mentioned, it's not the end of the world because they do have a high metabolism, and they're probably not putting on an insane amount of weight. But what it does do is it creates poor habits for after football, later in life. So it's better to kind of get some of this dialed in when they're still young and adaptable to new habits, whereas once, you know, you're out of college or late 20s, it's tougher to go back and shift gears.
Well, and I'm just looking at that picture of JJ and it wasn't lean at all. So then after he lost the weight, he's like, I wonder what I would have performed like if I was actually at
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
the weight that I
So
should have been at versus the see it, eat it, just
Right.
bulky and heavy and kind of
Yep.
feeling fat.
The see it, eat it, those coaches, like I said, they want them to get bigger, so they're bigger bodies out on the football field, but like we talked about pre-training or pre-game, we want to avoid those fatty things, and avoiding excess fat in general, but that just kind of bogs you down and slows you down when you're just eating it, seeing it, eating it.
Well, and I remember them, and what you said, they're like, oh, here's 6 bratwursts, no exaggeration, like the parents would cook. You know what I mean? They would get
Yeah.
together and they would have 4 to 6, you know, compared to what you're recommending for the.
Yeah, well, you want to keep it more balanced. Keep it more balanced, get those veggies and fruits in there. And some complex carbs, not just the simple stuff. Anything else?
Good information, thank you.
All right, well, thank you guys for coming, appreciate it.